Hi folks, and welcome aboard this week's podcast. I know it has been a minute since I've released a podcast, but I've actually been working hard in the background. I'm writing the book, Happiness is an Inside Job, so I had to just put pause on a few things to give me a bit of time to do some of the things that I needed to do, and I'm really excited about this book coming out. I hope to have it finished in the next month, so apologies we haven't released, but here we are back again to talk about a brand new topic to tantalise your earlobes. So, what is it we want to talk about this week? This one, it's personal to me as well, and I think to a lot of us, which is body shame. I've struggled a lot with it in my own life, and it's something that I work with a lot with clients. Irregardless of what they come in the door with, what the issue is, it tends to show up, especially in women. As you know, folks, I specialise with stress, anxiety and addictions. And what I look at is what actually drives us to them in the first place, getting to the root of what's driving us to the stress, the anxiety or the addictions. And a lot of it comes from low self-worth. And how this manifests, especially with women, is in body shame. With men, we'll see it a lot more with them having a fear of being weak or being seen as weak. With women, it tends to, as I say, manifest in body shame. So, firstly, folks, it's looking at what is body shame in itself. And it's to mock, slag off, or make really, really critical comments about our shape, our size, or the appearance of our body, or particular parts of our body. I know when I really struggled with it at the time when I had an eating disorder, or to be honest, from teens straight up to mid-30s, I would have put heavy focus on the size of me thighs, me ass, things, your actual body build, your structure, and I would have hated on them. I would have shamed myself. I would have dictated what I wore, what I tried to cover, how I showed up. So it really does, it impacts how you feel about yourself and your view of yourself as a person. And when we're looking at ourselves, it's in when you're looking in the mirror and when you're looking down on yourself, it's being hugely critical, comparing yourself to others, comparing yourself through social media, through people you know, saying things like, I'm so ugly compared to her, or look at how broad my shoulders are, or how fat my ass is, or thunder thighs, or all these horrible things that we come up with to say to ourselves. Criticising ourselves in front of people when they give us a compliment, when they're saying, God, you look beautiful, or that's gorgeous on you. Oh no, the size of me, or state of me, or, I threw this together. All of these things, they're all tied into body shame. And sometimes it's so natural to us that we don't even realise that we're doing it. And realistically, we live in a world where we're made to feel bad about our bodies. You only have to look at your shops, your clothes shops, or social media again, and see the size of clothes that they stock, down to your 2s, your 4s, your 0s, and the sizes that they don't stock, because they're deemed outside the norm. So if you can't get something to fit your body in a shop, automatically we're deeming ourselves outside the norm. When in reality, we all have different body shapes and sizes. We've different boob sizes, shoulder sizes, thighs, butt, ass, all of these things. And clothes are made to fit one paradigm, one mannequin in a window. Not every single woman, but we have a tendency to feel bad about ourselves or shame ourselves because of it. We see all the time on social media and magazines that whole rate or slate vibe and the trend that's going on, where people are actively encouraged to judge whether they think someone looks bad or not, whether they believe they look good, down to what they're wearing and what their body shape is. I mean, we've all seen the front page of magazines or on social media, and the captions that come along with them. Do you know what I mean? About pizza butt, or all of these things, and the magazines are covered in Brazilian butt lifts and everything else. So if you don't have that peachy high-end ass, you're deeming yourself as not worthy, or your body is not good enough, And then what happens is when we see the likes of these celebrities showing up on social media, or your standard person showing up, and we are gauging ourselves, comparing ourselves alongside them, you know, if they're 6 weeks postpartum and they have their body back to a size 2, 4 or 6, if they're, you know, out and about in their clothes, and we're looking and we're judging ourselves, comparing ourselves, and deciding that we don't live up to that image. We don't live up to that image and put in front of us, and that can cause us again it compounds the body shaming. And then we see ourselves then judging others. People that judge others a lot tend to be judging themselves the harshest. It tends to come from insecurity. We're afraid we will never look like that. We'll never achieve how those other people look. And therefore it impacts our self-acceptance, and also thinking whether we'll be accepted by someone else, be it in a relationship, in our friends group, wherever it is. It impacts our acceptance and our sense of belonging. Like, when you think about it, folks, there is a €1 billion industry out there built on ugly and uncomfortable underwear, built on your Spanx and your all of these body shaper things that, like, we literally contort and constrict our own bodies to fit into, baiting our flesh into, to be a more acceptable shape in a dress or in clothing. Like, when you really think about that, we tend to feel horribly uncomfortable and nearly require like an entire support team to come into the jacks with us, to come into the loo, to help us, all because we're under the misguided belief that our body and beauty is not acceptable. We see ourselves as ugly, bad or wrong, and we feel ashamed, so we bash ourselves into these, you know, lifters and slimmers and uplifters and down squashers and whatever you want to call them, to contort ourselves, to leave ourselves feeling uncomfortable and restricted, wearing, I mean, like, what really are quite ugly stuff anyway, all to feel when we walk into a room or go to an event or go about our everyday that our shape is acceptable to us and to society overall. Like, it really is horrible when you look at it in that context. And social media compounds and supports body shaming. It really, really does. But what's put in front of us constantly, as I say, on our medias, we open our Facebooks, our Instagrams, all of these things. When you turn on the TV and see, you know, an entire show, even in your soaps. I mean, like, these are foreign lands that these people are in. The people that are on them, they're the most beautiful village people you've ever seen in your life. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's all false, being falsely portrayed to us as what is normal and what it is okay to be. And although that, in fairness, compounds what we're already believing, it isn't actually, you know, the root of where our body shaming actually stems from. And that is something that I do want to look at too, because as a lot of you know, in what I do with my work and my calling, is getting to the root that triggers these behaviours in the first place, getting to the root that drives them. And this all stems from our conditioning. We have been conditioned to believe from babies that fat equals failure. You have failed as a woman, and now more so as a man, if you are fat. And that's how we view, or we're trained or conditioned to view, body flesh or excess body flesh. And the sad thing is, it's those very feelings that you've failed if you're fat or if you're overweight that actually drive you back to the food in the first place, to soothe your wounds, to comfort yourself. And then food ends up becoming your friend in the fridge, because you're hiding away, you're feeling ashamed, you're feeling low on yourself, so your reward and your comfort is food. And then you shame yourself again for not being in control, while sitting at home in your belly warmer knickers and your baggy clothes, hiding yourself in an absolute cloak of shame. And the mirror becomes the arch nemesis, the thing you hate. The actual viewing of you in the mirror becomes something that you actively avoid. And I know from working, as I say, with clients, such amazing, beautiful people that have overcome so much, achieved so much, but just have beautiful hearts. I know from working with them, and as I say, in my own past, like, you can go years without looking at yourself in the mirror or looking at particular body parts, turning away and shunning yourself. Like, literally turning away, ignoring or trying to hide from yourself, and being really self-critical, saying horrible things when you look down on yourself. And sadly, that means that the whole beauty of who you are is hidden. And as I say, this can go on for decades where we never say a kind word to ourselves about our own physical body. And this means for us that we don't have to worry about being in a toxic relationship or an abusive relationship with someone else, because we're in one with ourselves. Most of us as humans would never speak to another human being the way we speak to ourselves. And for change to happen, that needs to change. The shame needs to end. And that saying critical, nasty things to yourself needs to end, because otherwise, as I say, you will continuously return to the same behaviours to comfort yourself from what you're feeling. And this shows up, there's all different types of shame, but fat shaming is certainly the most common. I do hope that changes, and I actively work with my clients to change that, and even in doing this podcast. But we also, I mean, like, we've food shame. We shame ourselves about food, and we often shame others about food. You know, that whole, are you eating all of that? Or, you know, secretly eating, secretly binging, secretly hoarding food, secretly hiding our eating because we feel so ashamed of what we're eating. Again, this drives the same pattern and leaves us in the same place. You know, we judge other women for being too muscly, which means we deem that they're not feminine enough in what we've been taught the archetype should be. You know, we clothes shame each other. You know, that whole mutton dressed as lamb. There's a particular way you're supposed to dress at a particular age. Again, this is all like squashing ourselves into the Spanx. We're contorting and constricting ourselves into a paradigm of a Barbie doll we believe that we should be. And this impacts the things we do for ourselves, the success we'll chase, the dreams we'll chase, but above all else, our overall happiness and well-being each day. It is not a happy person that is getting up in the morning and looking in the mirror and either actively destroying what they see or turning away in shame and avoiding that reflection that's there. Like, it really is one of the cruelest of things. And again, I know from experience, and I'm still a work in progress. I mean, like, compared to a decade or so ago, of course, I've come on so much with doing the work, but I'll still, you know, if I gain extra weight or things like that, I still find myself slipping and having to do the work, that no matter what shape, size or form I am in, I am beautiful as who I am. I am proud of who I am. And I have to practice my own conditioning, like even down to body hair on women. You know, this is one of the things, again, women are taught to be clean shaven, waxed, plucked, pinched into an inch of their lives. And we've learned and been conditioned to not like or frown upon or shame, you know, body hair, as if this isn't our natural, normal state of being. And it's getting rid of all of these things and getting rid of the whole, you know, my feet are too big, my hands are too big, my nose are too big. All of these harsh criticisms. Too big for who? Too big for what? These are the questions we need to be asking ourselves. And who decided this for us? And what is the paradigm that we're comparing ourselves to? Because if it's a Barbie doll, we will never achieve it. Like they say, if Barbie actually existed in real life, due to her dimensions, our spine would snap. Because it's not real. It's not real to have a waist that tiny, and it is not healthy for us to strive for a waist that tiny or a belly that thin or getting rid of our roundiness or whatever it is, whatever the shame is. So what we need to be doing is actively working on it and building our own acceptance, deciding what is acceptable for us in our world, what a real woman is and what that means, or what a real man is and what that truly means to us. And that's who we are as a person. That's who we are as a human. The bottom line, blood runs red in all of our veins. We're all going to turn to ashes in the end. It's how we live and how we show up. And that starts with us and how we treat ourselves. Because if you're treating yourself with less judgment, more kindness, more patience, more compassion, that's who you're showing up as. That's who you are in the world. That's what you're giving out. That's your vibration. So not only are you changing yourself, but you're changing for all the people around you. So, noodles, how do we free ourselves from body shaming? Firstly, as I've said, take back ownership of your body and what your body does for you. Start looking through kinder eyes. You would do it for everybody else in your life. You would never say the things to them that you say to yourself. And here's the thing, a person that feels empowered or disempowered, is not the same person that is motivated to make changes, whatever it is that you want to change. That's not the person that feels charged up and motivated and driven to lose weight or to go to the gym or to join the classes, to live the dream, to kamikaze off a cliff, or, to wear crotchless tongs, whatever it is. A person that feels disempowered within themselves is not a person that wants to do any of those things. It's taking back ownership of your body and learning to love and accept who you are and the beauty of all that you are. Next thing, throw out what makes you feel ugly, low, or less than. If you have the old belly warmer knickers or jocks in your wardrobe, get rid. If you have baggy, sloppy Joe t-shirts that, you really feel crap in, but you have them there for your darker days, get rid. Because the minute you put them on, you're telling yourself this is a darker day. Change that, dump them. If you've things sitting there that thwart you about a heyday of this one time in band camp when you were that size and you wore that dress and it dangles in front of you, thwarting you and makes you feel negative, get rid of it. Have a goal of buying a new beautiful dress or a new beautiful suit down the road when you are where you want to be. But body confidence is built. And body confidence is unearthing and getting rid of what shame you're carrying. And that's what needs to start with how you're looking in the mirror and how you're speaking to yourself. Dumping all the gunk, getting rid of all the crap that makes you feel less than, and then being mindful of your own body shaming with others. What is it you're looking at and judging? What is it you're seeing on social media or in your friends or on TV or wherever else that you're judging? That's showing you what your own body shames are. So looking at that, calling it out and being mindful of it. But don't get angry with yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. You've done that for a very long time. So this is showing you what your conditioning is, and you can't know what you haven't learned yet. So be compassionate and patient with yourself. Remind yourself that these are the things that you're thinking, if they're negative judgments or whatever, are things you've been conditioned to think. And now you're taking ownership back, you're taking your power back, and you're choosing what you're going to think going forward, both about yourself and others. And you're making the decision to be the change that you want to see in the world. If you want things to change, be that change. And above all else, folks, remind yourself that you are so much more than what your mind tells you. Your mind is telling you your conditioning, your past, your wounds, your hurts. That's where it's coming from, your lack. So now, at any point, any moment, you have the power to change. Your mind doesn't control you. It just runs in subconscious patterns. And at any time, you have the power to change these. So own your worth, know you're beautiful, and take back your power. Take back the ownership of your beautiful body, your beautiful being, the heart that beats in your chest just for you, the eyes you have in your head that view the world, view your loved ones, the arms that carry, that hug, that show love, show affection. This is the beauty of who you are. So remind yourself of all of that and Re-empower yourself from within. Decide what it is you want to feel about yourself and start feeling that, start building that for yourself, because you are worth it.